Good afternoon and welcome to today's vlog for Wednesday the 30th of July. Hope everybody is well and had a good day. I'm trying to think of a subject title for what I'm going to talk about and I can't. So it's going to be split into three. It's going to be dead miles, obscure locations and backloads. I mentioned yesterday that when I was in transport we used to find August a bit of a funny month, and we quite often had to run a lot of dead miles out empty, which some of it we got paid for, to places like Italy and Spain to bring back fruit. And I think in transport there is a lot of dead miles, and it got me thinking about the courier industry and what I do and dead miles. When I used to live in Hornchurch, I don't think I probably ever had to travel more than about 5 miles, 10 miles to pick my load up as the first load of the day. Since I moved up to Brightlingsea, that's certainly extended now 20 miles, 30 miles and sometimes even 40 miles. But I don't worry too much about the dead miles. For me, I know some people, when I read blogs and Facebook posts and watch videos, they do talk about dead miles and the cost involved in that. But I just look at it, it's just one of those expenses, and if I have to view dead miles in any way, I just look at the miles per gallon. I get 40 miles to the gallon in this van, so if I've got to run 40 miles, it's just a gallon of diesel. It's no great hardship. Regarding the obscure location, which means I do more dead miles, when I moved up here, it was a move of over 50 miles, so Colchester and the surrounding area never used to come into my CX feed. The first week that we moved here, obviously we were unpacking and settling in, and I spent quite a lot of time looking at the CX feed to see what work came out of Colchester, and also importantly what came into the Colchester and that area. So I changed my settings to 300 miles, which means you see an awful lot of jobs, and once you discount all the Carlisles, the Kendalls and the Cirencesters, the Gloucester, it gave me a little bit of an idea how much work during the course of a day came into the area I now lived. And the example I'm going to give, one day I was looking at the feed and there was a job for the following afternoon at 3 o'clock from Poole in Dorset, coming back to my postcode in Brightlingsea. The job note said must be collected on time at 3 o'clock and must be delivered the following morning at 7 o'clock. Now, I started thinking, okay, I can do this job. That's quite a good job. So I put I think it was 200 miles, I put it long wheelbase, put a price on it at £275. And 10 minutes later, I got a call, and it was with a transport company, so I felt it was going to be okay. Taking a little bit of a chance it was going to be cancelled, but having spoken to the transport company, they said, no, we need it picking up at 3, because they've got a container arriving at 4 o'clock and they need the space in the warehouse to unload that container. So now I've got to find something to get me down to Poole. There were some jobs into London, but I didn't really want to do them because they're time consuming going into London. And eventually I found something that did suit, and that was a job to Guildford. Guildford isn't an area I would normally want to go to. I find that's a real struggle area, and I finish up having to go round west to the Heathrow Airport or east round towards Dartford and those areas. But it was okay for this purpose. It was 115 miles and I put a price of £125 on. I think that was a medium wheelbase if my memory serves me correctly, and I got that job. So the next morning I was supposed to be picking up at 8. I got there early at 7. I think I was away on time. I was emptying Guildford by 11. Down to Poole, I think I had a stop if my memory serves me correctly, and was there well on time and got loaded, and I was home late by all means. It was late at night. I think it was probably near enough 9 o'clock I got home. But the next morning it literally took me 2 minutes, if that, to get down to the delivery point. So for that job, for those jobs for that day, I did 125 and 275, which meant £400. That's a good day. I think that's a good day. So what I'm saying is, if you live in obscure areas, don't always necessarily just think it's the load out and then trying to find something back. Do some research and see if there's any work that regularly comes to the area that you live in. You might be surprised, and then you can do that and sort of find maybe a cheaper load out and that good load to get you back. It's just worth investigating. Anyway, on to today. It's been a good day. But a funny sort of strange day. I had that job on board yesterday afternoon, which was for delivery to Haverhill in Suffolk, on the Essex-Suffolk borders at 8:30 this morning. That was fine. I got there at about 8:10. The place was shut, but 8:20 someone arrived, and it was one box, weighed nothing. So they took that off me straight away, and I was done empty by 8:30, and I include that £100 for that job in today's figures. There was, on my way to Haverhill, there was a job that came up, a long wheelbase job from Haverhill going to Banbury, 102 miles. I put a price of £120 on that, which I think is about right, but I had to be honest with the shipper and say I was probably going to be 45 minutes away because I still had to deliver. I didn't get that job, and I'm pretty certain it was more because there was other vans that were empty that could pick up a lot quicker than I could. Another job came up when I was empty from Haverhill going to Darlington, but just didn't fancy that, too far for me, I thought. And then a job did come up, that was at 8:50, so I've been sitting around not for too long, and that was from Bury St Edmunds to Tilbury. Now I did think about letting that job go and hanging on to see if something came out in Haverhill, but I decided to twist rather than stick, so I put a price on that. 83 miles, small van, £80, and I got that job. So 40-minute drive off to Bury St Edmunds, got there for about 9:30. I was actually loaded quite quickly, but the lovely guy who loaded me, and we sat there chatting for about 10-15 minutes. So it was 10 o'clock before I left. Fine, the run down to Tilbury was fine. I was there for 11:45, and I was all empty by 12 o'clock. So that was lunchtime. I needed a break, so I went round to the Asda's round the corner, parked up, had my lunch with me, and just had a little stroll around the car park, stretched the legs and had me lunch, and then started looking at about 12:35 for another job. And there was one came up from Purfleet. That's not far away, 10 minutes away, and that was going up to Sudbury, again on the Essex-Suffolk borders. 57 miles, small van. I put a price of £60 on that, which I was happy with. In hindsight, I probably did undervalue that. Again, you look at Sudbury and you think, okay, it's in the middle of nowhere a bit, but then the actual delivery point was probably another 20 minutes north of Sudbury, down country lanes, and a very inaccessible place. But hey ho, it is what it is. We live and learn. Keep my eyes open for that exact postcode again in the future. Straightforward though, no problems. It was 10 large bits of wood. Got that on, got there for about 2:40 and emptied by 3 o'clock. Now normally that would definitely be me finished. Those three jobs, £100, £80 and £60, gives me 2:40 for the day. I would have made my way home and probably been indoors for 4 o'clock. I've got to make my way down to St Albans this evening. I'm meeting up with some old work colleagues as the football season's about to start. It's probably going to be the only chance we get for a drink. So I was trying to see if I could find anything down to sort of North London, Hertfordshire, but it's just gone a little bit quiet. It looks like I've come through Haverhill, but nothing there. Making my way over towards the M11. There might be something I can pick up and do in Harlow before I need to be down to St Albans at 7. But I think that's probably going to be it for the day. Those three jobs, £240. So it's well above my target. But it seems a strange day. It seems like it's been a really long day today. But I don't know. That's just my imagination. Anyway, hope you've had a good day. We'll go again tomorrow. I don't have a job at the moment. Put a price on a couple of jobs. One, going to Newport in Wales. I fancied something different, but didn't get that. And it's the same old problem that some of these longer jobs, you even put realistic, borderline low prices on it, and you don't get them. Which is probably why I tend to stick within my own area. And as I said, A14, M1, M25 West, M23. If I stay inside that, I can normally get 2 very good jobs or 3 average jobs to make up a good day. Anyway, leave it at that. Hope you had a good day yourselves, and we'll talk again tomorrow. All the best to you. Cheers, Paul.